Hi, guys. Welcome, all you wonderful folks who decided to spend the next hour with us to see how you can take a plain old boring spreadsheet full of data and turn it into a piece of art. So today's webinar is custom data visualizations in Excel, and I'm going to give you a taste of how you can go from the mundane kind of charts in Excel to magnificent pieces of art. I think this webinar is going to be a lot of fun. It does more than it shows you more than your typical Excel, like the typical Excel built-in charts. So we'll have a lot of fun with this. Okay, so before we start, I just want to show you, or I just want to mention to you that you guys are using Zoom. I know we get a lot of people sort of repeat customers kind of for the webinars, so you might be used to the Zoom screen. But just in case you're new to Zoom, I've got to mention, first of all your lines are muted. But if you have any questions, if you're having any technical problems, just pop those into the chat. You should see a little chat icon on your Zoom, the little Zoom control toolbar. And we have Melanie on hand, so she'll answer all your questions when it comes to technical issues. If it's questions about something in the webinar, I will try to glance over. I do have my chat screen up, so if it's something that I can answer quickly, I'll try to answer it on the spot. But if it's something that's going to kind of take me off track, I might save your question to the end. So don't think that I'm just not seeing your questions or not answering your questions. I might wait to the end to answer the questions. So, and then it's up to you. If you want to just wait to the end to put your questions in, by all means, I'll get to all your questions. One thing though is that this webinar is going to be available on YouTube after the webinar. And because you guys are in the webinar, you're going to end up getting an email anyway with the YouTube link. So you don't have to fiercely scratch notes to try to keep up with what I'm doing step by step. You'll be able to access the YouTube video and you can go back and try. And so don't worry about it. Just sit back and watch, have some fun. And like I said, we'll have a Q&A session at the end too. So think about your questions. So just give me 2 minutes while I just introduce you to Great Canadian Training, and then we are going to jump into this webinar. So who is Great Canadian Training? First of all, we have over 20 years of experience, over 20,000 hours of training experience. So we've been around for a long time, lots of experience. Our trainers are very experienced. And what we do is we offer both software and professional skills training, like professional skills training, like, time management, presentation skills. That's a fun one. So we do offer both software and professional, and we do both public and private training. And I'm asked a lot what the difference is between taking public training and taking private training. Public training is good if you have less than 4 people. So even if you're from the same place, the same department, but you're less than 4, I would take it as public training. The classes run on a regular schedule. They're guaranteed to run. By the way, I know a lot of our competitors, they guarantee that their classes run, but I'm telling you, they do have a minimum. So if there's only one person, they will put you in another class. We run it even if there's one person. And we have a learn or come back free policy too on all our public classes. Kind of cool. And by the way, all of our classes are live. You don't have to worry about that. It's a live instructor for every class. The private training is good for groups of people. If you're more than 4 people, it's actually much more cost effective to group it as a private session. Just trying to save you guys money. And the benefits of doing a private session is that you guys can customize the course. So you can customize what you learn, what you focus on, the certain topics. You can pick and choose from different levels kind of thing. And you can even use your company files too. It's kind of neat. And then the training sessions can be at our downtown Ottawa facility if you live in Ottawa, or it can be at the client's location. And by the way, we offer coaching and consulting services and custom app development. So basically, I mentioned to you, classes are guaranteed to run. We have a learn and come back for free policy on our public classes, but we also have, by the way, 24/7 after training support for both software and professional skills. Lots and lots of reasons. Okay, so that's Great Canadian Training. That's who I work for. And let's move on to, well, I guess me. If you want to know about me, I'll just quickly tell you I have over 20 years of experience too. Not all with Great Canadian Training. I used to work for York University in Toronto, and then I moved back to Ottawa about, maybe 6 years ago now. And I've been working with Great Canadian Training since. And on my spare time, when I'm not training, I'm singing. So I'm part of the SOS, the ABBA Experience show. Actually, we have a big show coming up in Rockland. If any of you guys are sort of out on the east side of Ottawa, we're going to be in Rockland. I think there's going to be just over 500 people there at the Optimist. So should be a fun show. Okay, so let's do this thing. So today we are going to be diving into the world of Excel, but not as you know it. We're going to be taking Excel from simple to spectacular. We are going to talk about what a data visualization is. I use this term a lot in my training. It's kind of the new term that people are using, but I'll explain what a data visualization is. Why even use custom data visualizations? Why use data visualizations at all, period? Are there any limitations when you do the customized data visualizations? Then I'm going to show you, we're actually going to do two. I originally thought I would be able to fit in one, but it looks like I could fit in two. So I'm going to do a filled icon chart with you. And I'm going to create a custom thermometer chart. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So yeah, I'm excited about that. We can do two. So why use data visualizations? And what is a data visualization? So Excel is full of sheets of raw data like this. And by the way, Great Canadian Training, as you can see in my data, has created their own Great Canadian Training cover band. I guess we got together so many times at our retreats and we would always break into song that we've decided to create our own Great Canadian Training cover band. Two is good. Two is good. So I have lots and lots and lots of data about our Great Canadian Training cover band. And I have 4 years worth of data here. So you're probably going to have a lot of questions about it if you look at this data, like, what does this all mean to me? Or are we doing well? Like, are we even doing well? Should we be hanging up our guitars and just going back to plain old training? How do our ticket sales compare from when we started to now? How do our ticket sales compare between Canada and our US shows? That kind of thing. So lots and lots of questions. Now, some of you guys have been in my webinars before. I think I recognized a couple of people here. And you probably know I've mentioned this a couple of times. I love reading about brain science, like how we learn and the best ways to teach people something and have them understand it and retain it, remember the information, especially if it's even more difficult concepts. And the most powerful way for our brain to understand and remember information is through a picture. And I'm not going to give you guys all the brain science behind it, but our brains are wired to be visual. I have mentioned that in other webinars. I did the dashboards webinar. I've done PowerPoint webinars. Our brains are wired to be visual. They want pictures. Okay. So data visualizations are pictures of our data. They're charts. But charts are not just about presenting numbers. They're about three things. They're about telling a story. So for example, this chart you're looking at tells us that our ticket sales are increasing year by year, getting better and better and better. I think we're going to have to release an album soon. It's number two, making complex data easier to understand. A chart will do that. It'll actually make things easier to understand. And number three, they captivate the audience, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So they help people better see and understand your data. So whether it's a simple or complex set of data, it brings everybody on the same page, regardless of their experience level, kind of thing. But if you guys look at this chart, does this captivate you? Probably not. It's like your plain old boring column chart. What if you were creating an Excel dashboard? If any of you guys know what an Excel dashboard is, it's usually made up of a bunch of charts. It's visual. If you were creating an Excel dashboard and you filled up your whole dashboard with charts that look like this, 5 or 6 charts that look like this, it's boring. So I'll give you an example of what we can do. Here we have a regular column chart. Maple Leaf Theater ticket sales as of September 1st. Boy, that's hard to read when you're on PowerPoint Live. Plain old boring chart. Is it informative? Yes. Is it exciting? Not really. Now look at this. Ta-da! Stands out from the crowd. It engages and it captivates your audience. It takes a boring story and it makes it interesting. So if you want to do these three things, if you want to stand out, like in a world drowning in data, how do you make your insights pop? Number two, if you want engagement, so the more visually appealing and understandable your data is, the better your audience will connect with your data. And number three, if you want to tell a compelling story, it's all about turning data from mere numbers into a story, into narratives. Then you want to use custom data visualizations. They're pretty cool. You guys can do these. You do not have to be an Excel expert to do these. Trust me, you can do these. The other thing about your custom data visualizations, which is kind of neat, is they can also be used as metaphors. And before I explain what metaphors have to do with data visualizations, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Not everybody understands what a metaphor is, but a metaphor is a way of explaining one thing by comparing it to another. Like, you guys will like this. His eyes are like diamonds. That's a metaphor. Like, we know his eyes aren't actually diamonds, but both diamonds and his eyes shine. So it shows a shared quality, right? So metaphors turn confusing ideas into something clear and easy to understand. Like, you can actually visualize it when you hear a metaphor, okay? So how do charts become metaphors? Well, when they're custom charts, they can turn hard to see data into something you can easily picture if you use it as a metaphor. So when we see a gauge chart or a speedometer chart, we think of speeding or going fast, like we're speeding to the finish line for our ticket sales, or maybe they're selling fast, kind of thing. Or if we see a thermometer where the mercury is high, we think of hot, like our ticket sales are hot or our ticket sales are doing well. And trust me, whether people actually think about this, oh, wow, it's a metaphor, their brains are just automatically associating things. So you can do this kind of thing with custom charts that you can't really do with regular charts. And by the way, this thermometer chart here, I'm going to show you how to create that. It doesn't exist in Excel. Just out of curiosity, before I go on, can you guys give me a thumbs up or put something in the chat? How many of you guys have actually created charts before? Do I have anybody in here that does charts? I'm just wondering if everybody's brand new to this. Or maybe you don't know in Zoom where to do a thumbs up. Oh, I got a thumbs up there. Or a yay or whatever. Oh, you do both charts and dashboards. Wow. I love dashboards. I love putting together dashboards. So we just have a couple of people in here then. And Power BI. Yeah, I love Power BI too. Yeah, because you can create your dashboards through Power BI through Power View, which is kind of neat. You've never used it. You wish you know what? We have a dashboards course. I'll show you afterwards where it is. Dashboards are a lot of fun. You know, some people ask me, should I take the Excel level 2 or Excel level 3, that kind of thing. Sometimes just if you take the dashboards course, the 2-day dashboards course, you will get so much out of it. Not only are you going to learn all the big Excel features, but then you learn how to put it into a dashboard and make the dashboard look pretty. And it really is fun. I love doing things like that. Okay. So are there any limitations when we're doing custom data visualizations? Basically, the only limitation is your imagination. You have the freedom. Excel is a canvas. Yes, it has built-in charts, but why stop there? If you know how to mix working with shapes with working with charts, if you can mix those two together, then you can create visuals like this that are really one-of-a-kind visuals. I created all those that you see on the screen. I didn't just take pictures off the internet. I actually created them. It was actually a lot of fun. And then I just screen captured them. So these don't exist. So let's move into Excel. And like I said, I'm going to show you how to do two of them. Two of these. One of them being that thermometer chart that I showed you. The other one, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but the one that has the two people here, the fillable icon chart, I'll show you how to do that as well. And then if you take the course, we get fancier and fancier. We actually do this one right in the middle in the course. Okay. 2 days of training on dashboard could be very useful. Yes, it is. I have to say, it's one of my favorite courses to teach. Okay, so bear with me a second because I'm going to share my other screen. So at least I'm facing you on the camera. So I'll do a new share, just a second. Can you guys just confirm with me that you can see my Excel spreadsheet?
Yep, you can see it.
That's good. Okay, we are good to go. Okay, so here is that spreadsheet that I was showing you when I was in the presentation. We have 4 years worth of Great Canadian Cover Band tour schedules. Our rental costs, our insurance costs, our attendance, our total ticket sales. So the first chart we're going to create will look like this. Okay, now the data that I have here, this data, when you're doing it yourselves, you could create a pivot table. If you guys have ever done pivot tables, that's one of the things we teach in the dashboards course too. We also teach it in Excel level 3. But if you create a pivot table summarizes information. So it takes all this information and it does things like this, where all I want to see is the percentage of ticket sales between Canada and the US. There's my story, right? I had a question, there's my answer. But then I want to turn it into a chart. So I'm not going to go through teaching you how to create pivot tables. I'm here to teach you how to create these beautiful custom charts. So I already have my summarized information here. And it's set up right now so that if these percentages change, the icons fill up. I'll just manually change this one here. So if the ticket sales, let's say the ticket sales were 22% Canada, which will affect US. Keep your eye on the 2 people in the chart. See how they adjust? 58%. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'll take it step by step with you. So I'll move over to this sheet where we don't have a chart, and I will take this step by step. So the first thing is, if you're going to create a chart, the easiest way to create a chart is to select your data first and then say to Excel, I want to insert a chart based on this data. So I'm going to select here from A4 to C5. Now, one thing I did want to mention is, so we have the summarized information. We have 58% of ticket sales are Canada, 42% are US. But you notice that I have this maximum value here, 100%, 100%. If you're going to create a fillable icon chart, you have to add that extra column. I actually manually added this extra column here. Because, and you're going to see this better when we do the chart. To create a fillable icon chart, what you're going to have is, you're going to have the full outline of the person. So up to 100%, the full outline of the person, and it's hollow inside. That's the 100%. And then you're going to have a column. This is actually going to be a column chart, believe it or not. You're going to have a column that's based on the actual percentage, 58% or whatever. Same as US. You have to have 100% for the full outline of the person. And then the 42% is the fillable part. So yeah, you're going to have to add this extra column, and depends on how many icons you have. You could have more than 2 icons. Just make sure you have 100% for each icon. So I'll select this data. I'll go up to Insert, and then down to where all of our charts are. And I'm going to insert a column chart, which is this little icon here. And it's just going to be a plain old 2-dimensional column chart, which is the very first chart. Like, that's how easy it is to create a plain old boring chart in Excel. Now, one of the issues I'm going to have is this. What we want to do is have the Canada stats, so the 58% and the 100% side by side, and then the US stats, the 42% and the 100% side by side. So they kind of have to be grouped together by row. 58 and 100 is one grouping, 42 and 100 is another grouping. That way, you'll see, I'll show you how you can then overlap them. The problem is, when it created the chart, it grouped it the wrong way. It grouped the 58 and the 42 together. That's what you see with these 2 columns here, 58 and 42. And then it grouped the 100 and the 100 together. That's not going to work. So all I have to do is something called switch row column. You select your chart. You go up to your chart design ribbon. Up at the top, chart design. If you have your chart selected, you'll have chart design. And way down toward the end of the chart design ribbon is a button that says switch row column. Now watch what happens to my chart when I click this. It groups it the way I want it grouped. I have the 58% and the 100%. That's this first row for Canada. Then I have the 42% and the 100%. That's the row for US. So that's the first thing you have to do. Now, eventually we're going to replace these columns with the person icon. And by the way, I chose to do a person icon for this. You guys can choose whatever icons you want. You can choose different icons. Maybe you're comparing apples to oranges. You can choose an apple icon and an orange icon. They don't even have to be the same icon. I would just suggest, it kind of makes sense, but I'm going to suggest this anyway. Whatever icons you choose, make sure they're the same size, like the same height, so that when they fill up, like, it makes sense because they're filling up to the same height kind of thing. Don't choose one little short one and one big tall one. Now, the way I'm going to insert an icon is I'm going to go to my icons in Excel. Maybe you guys don't realize this exists, but Excel comes with icons. So I'm going to go up to, first of all, by the way, just in case this happens to you, If you still have any of these columns selected, don't go to insert icon. Right now, you don't want it to replace the columns. You want to click anywhere in the background of your spreadsheet. Then go up to insert, icons. See, it's right by your picture shapes. There should be an icon button. And I usually do a search. So I'm going to search for person. And I've got a lot to choose from, but I'm going to choose this one, this filled icon right here. So I'll select it and I'll click insert. There's this icon. So what I'm going to do is duplicate it because I'm going to need one for this side for Canada and I'm going to need one for this side US. And the easiest way to duplicate something is Control D. D for duplicate. Now I have a duplicate. You can copy and paste if you want. Now the thing is, I want to duplicate these two icons as well to make another two icons because two of my icons are going to be the fillable part and two of my icons are going to be the outline part. So I'm going to select both icons by using the control key on my keyboard. I can multi-select. So if I click control or hold down control and click with my mouse, you can multi-select and duplicate. Control D. So I have 4 icons. Okay, now the fun part. We're going to fill our first 2 outlines, or first 2 icons. And you can choose whatever fill color you want. So I'll click my first icon here. I'll go way up to my ribbons to the very last ribbon way down the right here, graphics format. And halfway down graphics format, we have fill, outlines. This is exactly what you want. You don't have iconic. Oh, are you using an older version of Excel? Are you in maybe 2013, 2016 kind of thing? It could be you're in an older version of Excel. You know what I'll do? I'll search and see if there's another way of doing this without the icons for you. And we'll send you a message. Okay, let me look for that for you. But 365 should have, even if it doesn't say icons, there should be a little button with icons. Okay, I'll have to search for you. Okay, so I'm clicked on this person. I'm going to go up to that graphics format ribbon, and I'm going to choose a graphics fill. Like I said, it could be anything. So maybe what I'll do is, how about we do, okay, I'll do blue and then I'll do yellow. I think that's what the other one was. So I'll go to my, how about this blue fill here? And then I'll click this icon and I'll go up to my graphics fill and I'll fill with yellow. Now, what you're going to do with the icons at the bottom is you're going to remove the fill. You don't want any fill. It needs to be clear, see-through. But you need the outline because if you don't have an outline, you're not going to see your icon. So when I click on this icon and I go up to graphics fill, you can go down and choose no fill, which makes it look like it's disappeared, but it's still there. I'm just going to put an outline. So I'll go back up to graphics outline and I'll choose the same blue outline, or you could even do a deeper blue than what you did for the fill. And I'll do the same thing with this icon. I'll click this icon, remove the fill, graphics fill, no fill. And then I'll go to graphics outline and I'll choose the yellow to match. 2016. Okay, great, great. We've got your email. Perfect. Thanks. Perfect. All right. Now the next step is to replace all of these columns with the icons. Be careful with this because I do this all the time when I'm not paying attention. So for example, this first blue column, it's this blue icon that's going to represent it. This is the column that goes up and down based on percentages. What you can do is you can copy and paste the icon to the column. So if I click on my little blue icon here and copy it, Control C, whatever. What you have to be careful of is when you select this column. So I'll click on it. Not only does it select this column, but it selects the other blue column as well. And what's going to happen is it's going to paste the blue icon on both those columns, which I don't want. So the first time you click it, it does select both. So what you have to do is click the column a second time to select only that column in the series. So I'll click it again. Now only this column is selected. That's not. I'm good to go. Now I can paste the icon. So I use Control V, or you can right click paste or whatever. There he is. Or there it is, I guess. Okay, now I will do the same thing over here. I want the yellow one to go here. So I'll copy the yellow icon, Control C. I'll click on this column, but be careful because it's selected both. So I'm going to have to click again just to select that column. Now I'll paste, Control V. So those are the ones that are going to move up and down. Those are going to be the fill part. These columns always stay at 100%. They never move. This is going to be the outline part. So I'll click this little blue outline person, copy it, click this orange column here, but again, click a second time and paste. And then I'll copy my little yellow person, click this column, click a second time and paste. Okay, now one thing we're going to have to fix. So eventually we're going to overlap these two. So this one is filling up the 100% outline. Okay, we're going to overlap them. But it doesn't make sense the way it's displaying this person. If we put this person overlapping this outline, the head of this person is going to be the belly part of the sorry, I'm just kidding. The belly part of the icon here. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to show you something that would make more sense. So I'm going to click on this person here, clicking twice to select only this person. And I'm going to right click on top of that icon and go to Format Data Point. Then I get a task pane on the right. Up at the top of the task pane, I have icons. So we teach you all this kind of stuff during charts. I'm just sort of doing it quickly during this webinar, but there are little icons at the top. So I'm going to click on the bucket icon, which has to do with the fill. And I'm going to click on fill. And about halfway down, 3/4 of the way down, you'll notice we have stretch, stack, and scale with. Right now it's set to stretch. So this icon, if the percentages go up, it's going to stretch higher and higher or go lower and lower. I actually want to stack and scale with. And what that's going to do, it's set to 1 unit. It's going to set the person and cut off when it reaches whatever percentage that person is. And as it fills up more of the person will show. That way, when these two are overlapped, it will look like it's actually filling up this icon here on the right. I don't know if that makes sense. You'll see when we actually overlap it. I'll do the same thing to this little yellow person here. So you make sure that person's selected, go back over to your stack and scale with. Now it looks better. Now I'm going to overlap them. And to overlap them, you just stay in the same task pane. The icons up at the top, you want the third icon, the one that looks like a little chart. Because this is where you have series overlap. You're going to overlap them. A series is these two together, and then these two together. We're going to overlap. So series overlap, I'm going to overlap them 100%. So I'll type 100 and I'll press enter and watch the magic happen. It almost feels like this is magic and I'm kind of ruining the magic behind it because I remember I used to look at this going, "Oh, cool. Like this is like magic." But then when I learned how to do it, it starts to make sense and it doesn't look like magic anymore. But now they're overlapped. The only thing is there's a big gap between these two, a big white gap. So over where it says series overlap, you can go to gap width and you can reduce your gap width and watch what happens. Maybe I'll make it a 50% gap width. They get closer and closer together. They also get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's up to you. You can really reduce the gap width if you want to make them a lot bigger. If you change the chart type to a stacked bar chart, will you get the same result? No, because you're dealing with two series, one on top of the other, and I don't think that would work. I'd have to try it, but logically in my mind, I don't think that would work. Because it's filling up different area, like they can't. Yeah, I've never tried to overlap stacked. I'd have to try it. Yeah. Yeah, I like curiosity. So this is looking good. Now you know what I'm going to do? I don't like a lot of noise in my charts. Well, first of all, let's put a chart title. And by the way, this is your working chart. Like if I change my percentages here, 70% Canada, they're working. But I would go and I would put a chart title. This is just a text box. Like I could put ticket sales Canada versus US, something like that. But I think I want to get rid of this primary vertical axis where you have 0%, 20%, and all that. I want to get rid of that. I'm also going to get rid of these lines. But the thing is, if I do that, then I'm not going to know what percentages each of these are. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. I'm going to insert a text box above this person. So I'll go up to insert, way down to text box. And I'll drag out a text box above this person. And you can type whatever you want in a text box, but I want it to be dynamic. I want it to show whatever the Canada percentage is. So I'm going to link this text box to the 70%. And the way you do that with a text box is you go up to the formula bar, you put your equals, and then you click the cell you want to link to. So I'll click the 70% and press enter. And there it is. So if the 70% changes, this will change. And then I could format it. You could just click on it, maybe make your font blue so it matches, maybe make it bold, maybe make it bigger. Up to you. And I'll put it right above the head. And then I want to do the same thing over here. I think I'll copy and paste or I'll duplicate the text box, Control D. Try your duplicate, guys. It's so much quicker than copy and paste. I just have to change a couple of things here. Like, if I look in the formula bar, it's linking to B4. This one, I want it to link to the 42%, which is B5. So I'll just go up to my formula bar and I'll change it to B5 and press enter. Which it always gets rid of my formatting, which is fine because I didn't want it blue anyway, but I'll go up and I'll make this one yellow, bold, bigger. There we go. And then I can get rid of the noise. Watch this. I'll get rid of these little gray lines. You just click on a gray line and press delete. Whoops, not like that. Click on a gray line, press delete like that. We don't need this thing down here that says series 1 and series 2, the legend. I'm just going to click on it and delete it. We don't need the primary vertical axis, the percentages. Delete. And there you go. Now, anytime your percentages change, I'll put it to 50% each. Oh. This one is B5. Why is it not adjusting? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have my formula working properly. I should have had a formula in there that said if I change my Canada percentage, because I'm manually overwriting it just to show you. Yeah. So much magic. It is. It's really cool. So what I'll do is now that you've got kind of an idea of what I'm doing, we'll do a thermometer chart, and you'll see thermometer charts are very similar. To do a thermometer chart like this, it's very similar. It's going to be a column chart. One column is going to be solid. One column is going to be the shell. And here's the magic, and I'm going to ruin the magic for you guys. This is just a circle over top of the column. So it's two columns that are overlapped. One of them's empty, one of them fills up. And then you can put a circle on and make it look like a thermometer. So basically we're doing a fundraiser for our cover band, and we're tracking all the money that we've raised so far. Our target is 10,000. So you have to have a target amount. That's going to be the border part of the column, the outside shell, just like it was set to 100% for the other chart I showed you. In this case, the height of the outside shell is going to be what your target is. And then your actual is the column part that fills up the outside border. And what I've done is I created a table out of this. If you guys have taken any of the Excel courses with us, we teach you how to create tables, which mean, watch this. If I'm on my last entry here, 1500, if I press enter, it continues the table. And when I type something, so if I get a donation of $500, when I press enter, it'll be part of this table. And this sum is summing everything that's in this table. So watch. There you go. So this keeps going up, which means this inside of the thermometer is going to keep going up because it's based on this. So let's do it. And go over here. So I am going to select the data that this chart's going to be based on. It's these two numbers here. We'll get the two different columns. So up to insert, back down to where your column chart icon is. And again, just the two-dimensional column chart. So here we go. I think I'm going to clean up a lot of the noise right now. I'm not going to bother with a chart title. I'll just click on the chart title and delete it. I won't need these lines, these little gray lines here. So when I select one, it selects all the lines, press delete. I don't even need this thing at the bottom. The reason it says 1 and 2 is that when I selected my data, I didn't choose the words actual and target as part of the selection. If I had, it would have said actual target. But the thing is, I knew I was going to delete this anyway, so they're going to overlap. So all I had to do was select the numbers. So I'll go down here and click down here on the horizontal axis and delete it. The other thing I think I'll do is I'll delete the outside border of the chart. So see, when I click off of it, there's a border, a gray border. If you select the outside border of your chart, you can go up to the format ribbon, shape outline, just like I was doing with the icons, shape outline, no outline. So when you click off of it, there's no outline. Okay, now we're going to have to do the same thing that I showed you before on the other chart. It sees these as two separate pieces of information, so we're not going to be able to overlap them. I won't get that option to do series overlap. We have to kind of group them together. So with the chart selected, I'll go up to my chart design ribbon and I'll click that button, switch row column. Now it sees these as part of the same grouping. Don't worry that it turned this orange, because eventually we're going to take the fill out anyway and just put an outline. That's going to be the outline of our thermometer. And then you can choose whatever colors you want. Like if you want your thermometer to be red, I could click on this little column and make sure you click a couple of times so only that column is selected. And I could go up to my format tab and I'll set the shape fill to whatever color I want for the thermometer. And then what I'll do is I'll click on this column, which is going to be the outline, and I'll make the outline of it the same color as I did this, but I don't want any fill. So make sure you've only selected that column. Go up to your shape fill and choose no fill. But then I'll put an outline of that deep red. How about that? Okay. Now I am going to overlap it, but I think what I'm going to do is, if you look over here on the left, so the bottom part is set is 0. So this is where it starts with your fundraising, 0. And then the primary vertical axis goes up to 12,000, but my fundraiser target is 10,000. What I'm going to do, and I have to warn you about charts. When you resize charts and do things like that with your charts, a lot of time it adjusts your primary vertical axis and it may take it off 0. I'm telling you this because I'm going to do something in a second that this will make sense now, but it could adjust where your start is, and it definitely adjusts where the top number is. So what you can do, if you want to force it to 0 at the bottom and force it to 10,000 at the top, and it always stays 0 at the bottom and 10,000 at the top, you select that primary vertical axis. I still have my nice task pane open here on the right. And those 4 little icons at the top, the 4th icon is your chart settings. And I want my axis options. This is my primary vertical axis, so axis options. And it says the minimum is 0, the maximum is 12,000. I have to warn you, the minimum is set to 0, but you see how it says auto beside it? Because auto means when you resize the chart, it could change it from 0 to something else. I don't want that to happen. So to get it off auto, this is what you do. I'm going to click in the box and I'm going to overwrite what's in there with 0. I know it's the same thing, but when I press enter, because I actually typed a number in there, 0, it takes it off auto, which means it's now going to permanently stay at 0. And then my maximum, I want to permanently stay at 10,000. And I'll press enter. So see how it adjusts. And now it's always going to stay 0 at the bottom, 10,000 at the top. Now I'm going to overlap the two. So I'll click on one of these columns, doesn't matter which one. Over here on my task pane, my little chart icon, again, series overlap, just like we did before. I'll set it at 100% overlap. Now the thing is, it's really fat, like it doesn't look like a thermometer. So I'm just going to take the right side of the chart and drag it in. I'm going to do this like that. So you can just adjust it to whatever size you want the thermometer to be. Okay, and then all that's left is to put that kind of bulb of the thermometer at the bottom to make it look like a thermometer. So I'll click off my chart and I'll go up to Insert, Shapes. And I'll choose a little circle or oval shape. And I'll give you a trick. If I try to drag out, I'll show you. As I click and drag, I could drag out a really wonky oval. I want it perfectly a circle. So if I hold the Shift key and drag, it will confine it to a circle, which is cool. So however big you want the circle to be. And then you want the same fill as your thermometer. So you can go up to your shape fill, set it to the same. And I think I'll remove the border. So I'll go to shape outline and no outline. I'll just put it over here. I guess if 0, yeah, I guess 0 is here. Something like that. And there's your thermometer. So if we add another donation, somebody gave us, how about $2,000? You ready? When I press enter, you should see the mercury rise in the thermometer. Like that's simple. That's simple, guys. It doesn't take much. Like I just did 2 custom charts in about like half an hour at the most. And I was explaining it to you as we go. So it's working with shapes, it's knowing how the charts work, and then you can create those really wonderful, fantastic charts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take questions if you have questions, but before we get to the questions, just to give you guys time to pop in some questions here. I know a couple of you mentioned the dashboards, that you were interested in the dashboards. If you go to the Great Canadian Training.ca website, under courses, I'll take you to the Excel courses here. Excel. Not only do we have the Excel 1, Excel 2, and Excel Level 3, it's Excel Level 2, by the way, that we introduce you to charts. So maybe about 45 minutes of charts. You get all your basics of charts. So not only do we have these courses, and by the way, if you're interested in a course, you just go down here, you can click learn more. If you want to look at the outline of it and then register, or if you just know you want to register, you can just click register. But look at this. We have so many customized kind of courses. So we have Excel tips and tricks and time savers, but further down under data visualizations, which is what I'm doing with you right now, there's mastering charts and graphs in Excel. So you can do a whole day of training on charts and graphs. There are 2 Excel dashboards courses. For you guys that were interested in the dashboards courses, there's a 1-day and there's a 2-day. I'll tell you, the 1-day dashboards course, it doesn't have enough, like a lot of time to teach you dashboards. You're gonna learn some good stuff. We'll do a small little dashboard. It's the creating interactive dashboards, the 2-day dashboards course, that it is so worth it, where you learn a lot of Excel, plus you learn how to put together a more of an extensive dashboard, but either one. And then the custom data visualizations in Excel, which is what I was just doing with you. So you're going to learn more and more charts, more really fancy charts. We also have pivot tables too, because charts are based on pivot tables. So there's a Pivot Like a Pro, Mastering Excel Pivot Tables. So lots and lots of courses. And just before I leave here, I want to point out free resources to you guys. You guys like free, right? So up at the top where we have courses, software, all this, we have free resources. As you know, we have the free webinars. So if you want to know what's coming up, just go to the free webinars here. This is coming up next. Carol's going to be teaching this. It's more of a professional skills course, like be persuasive in your writing and communication. Sort of the principles of persuasion, if you want to persuade people through email or speaking with them, kind of thing. Oh, and this one's going to be fun. Gloria will be teaching creating visual infographics with PowerPoint. If you guys like PowerPoint and you want to do infographics, that's going to be a good one. But another free resource that I just wanted to point out is we also have a blog, and we just posted the new blog today. So here are some of the older ones if you want to read, but here, Excel, learn more than the basics. It's basically saying, you know, the sky's the limit with Excel. So, you know, what is Microsoft Excel? Why should you use it? What will you learn if you take Excel 1, 2, and 3? How can you be more productive in Excel? How can you present your data in Excel? So it's a great article if you want to go through it. But yeah, keep checking out our blog articles. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming. So do you guys have any questions? Anything? Not even just about the data visualizations. A question that came in. If I've never worked with charts, would I be able to take the data visualizations course. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because what I do with you is I start by teaching you the basics of charts. So you do learn the basics of charts. I also teach you the basics of working with shapes. If you guys have never used shapes, and then we put it together into the data visualizations. So yeah, absolutely. You're so welcome, guys. So welcome. You're very welcome. Any other questions? You take care too, Kim. Thanks. Thanks. Take care. Another one? How long does it usually take to create one of those fancier custom charts? Oh, like the charts that are like these kind of charts, these take if I weren't teaching you step by step by step and just putting them together myself, it takes about 15, 20 minutes for a fancy chart. This one I think took me a little bit longer because of the shading in here, the gradient fill. But I would say about 15, 20 minutes. I could teach you how to do this in 15, 20 minutes, something like that. You're welcome, everybody. Any other questions, guys? Thank you. Very interesting presentation. Oh, good. I hope I see you in one of the classes. That'd be cool. Okay, I think that's it. So that's the end of the webinar. Hopefully I'll see you at one of my other webinars. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the classes. Let me know, by the way, if you come to a class, if you were in one of the webinars, let me know. Take care, everybody. Okay, see you, Colette. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Great. So keep an eye on your email because I will be sending the recording and a handout tomorrow. And otherwise, I will close off the room.
Bye, everybody.